Imagine this. You're standing outside, maybe checking your phone, maybe talking to a friend, and suddenly, without any warning, the earth stops spinning. Not you, not your house, not your car, just the planet. And in the next few moments, reality begins to break. Right now, as you watch this, Earth is spinning at nearly 1600 kilometers per hour at the equator. You don't feel it because everything, your body, the ground, the air, is moving at the same speed. It's like sitting in a smooth train, you only feel motion when it changes. But imagine if this train, called Earth, suddenly slammed to a dead stop. The very first second is pure chaos. Earth stops, but you don't. Your body continues moving at 1600 kilometers per hour. Everything around you continues moving too. Cars, buildings, trees, animals, oceans, every object loosely attached to Earth is violently thrown sideways. In that single second, most of humanity would be tossed through the air with the force of a plane crash. Skyscrapers would crumble. Cars would be ripped off the roads and sent flying like toy models. Entire cities would collapse from sideways devastation. But the destruction has only begun. Now imagine the oceans. When a car suddenly brakes, everyone lurches forward. Apply that same logic to Earth, but with trillions of tons of water. Massive walls of ocean water surge forward, traveling faster than anything we have ever witnessed. Tidal waves taller than skyscrapers rush across continents. Coastal cities vanish under water instantly. Mumbai, New York, Shanghai, Tokyo, gone in seconds. And just as you attempt to understand this, something worse begins. The air itself becomes a monster. Just like the oceans, the atmosphere keeps moving even though the planet has stopped. This creates supersonic winds faster than 1500 kilometers per hour. These winds can rip forests out of the ground, peel the roofs off buildings like paper, and flatten anything that stands in their way. Entire landscapes are reshaped by roaring, crushing air. Then comes the global blackout. With Earth's rotation gone, everything dependent on it collapses. Power grids fall apart. Satellites, designed to orbit a rotating Earth, drift out of position. GPS systems stop working. Communication breaks. Navigation becomes impossible. Air travel shuts down instantly. Within moments, the world becomes silent, dark, and disconnected. But perhaps the strangest part of all is what happens in the sky. The sun simply stops moving. It hangs in one position forever, like a frozen spotlight. Countries on one side of Earth experience endless, burning daytime. Countries on the opposite side fall into permanent, freezing night. Temperatures begin to swing wildly. Crops would die. Animals would panic. Humans wouldn't know when to sleep or wake up anymore. And the scary part? This is just the first minute. Because the real nightmare begins afterward. Land starts shifting, oceans begin relocating, and the very rhythm of the planet, the cycle of day and night, breaks forever. Humanity faces an entirely new kind of struggle, surviving on a world that suddenly forgot how to spin.
The Earth has stopped spinning, and somehow you survived the first terrifying minute. But now begins a far stranger, far more dangerous world. One that human beings have never experienced in the entire history of our existence. The sun is frozen in the same spot in the sky. On one half of Earth, daylight becomes endless, an eternal, blinding, burning afternoon. On the other half, darkness becomes permanent, an endless, frozen midnight. Temperatures immediately start to break the rules of nature. On the sunlit side, heat builds and builds. The ground begins to crack. Rivers start to dry. Forests begin to smoke from the intense, unmoving sunlight. Over days, the land turns into a scorching desert where survival becomes nearly impossible. But on the dark side, the world becomes a freezer. Temperatures drop so fast that oceans start forming ice sheets. Cities are buried in layers of freezing winds and snowstorms that never end. Entire countries fall into a silent cold that feels like outer space. And in between these two extremes, something new forms, a ring around the planet known as the twilight zone. Here, the sun is always on the horizon, never rising, never setting. This narrow zone becomes Earth's last surviving habitat. A strip of land where humans would migrate, settle, and rebuild life in a world that has lost its rhythm. But before humanity can even attempt to survive, the Earth itself begins reacting in violent ways. Deep below your feet, molten rock starts shifting. Earth's rotation played a huge role in stabilizing the movement of the mantle. Now that rotation is gone, the planet begins to wobble. Volcanoes that were silent for centuries suddenly awaken. Earthquakes shake the ground as tectonic plates experience new pressures. Coastlines reshape. Mountains crack. The very architecture of continents begins to evolve. But the oceans, they face a different destiny. Without rotation, the water on Earth starts moving toward the poles. This happens because Earth's spin created a bulge around the equator, a bulge that held enormous amounts of water in place. With no spin, that bulge vanishes. Oceans drain away from the equator and flood the polar regions. Places that once had beaches become dry deserts, while regions near the poles become vast, deep oceans. Imagine Africa's equator turning into cracked dry land.
Imagine Canada and Russia sinking underwater.
This new Earth looks nothing like the old one. And then comes the question everyone wants to know, could humans survive this? Yes, but only in small numbers and only with incredible effort. People would need to migrate to the twilight zone, the only region with bearable temperatures. Here, they would build massive climate-controlled cities, grow food with artificial sunlight, and create new systems to replace the lost cycle of day and night. Humanity would have to become a species that lives between eternal day and eternal night, forever stuck in a thin strip of survival. Life would feel completely different. No sunrise, no sunset, just a permanent orange glow at the horizon, like the world is stuck in an endless evening. Time would no longer be measured by day or night. People would use artificial clocks. New calendars would be invented. Human culture, festivals, sleep cycles, everything would change. And as humanity rewrites the meaning of time, Earth itself slowly adjusts to its new stillness. The violent winds settle. The new oceans find their place. Volcanoes cool. Civilization gathers in the middle ring, the only place left to call home. But even here, life is fragile. Without Earth's rotation, our magnetic field weakens. Solar radiation increases. Auroras appear in strange places. Technology becomes harder to protect. Humanity faces a new invisible threat from the sun. And yet, we survive. Because humans always do. A world without Earth's spin is not the end of human life, but the end of human life as we know it. A new chapter begins. A chapter written in the twilight, between burning day and frozen night, on a planet that no longer turns.